This is the Developing Research Questions assignment by Jillian Andrew and Cheryl McCharge.
All right, we chose metacognition as our topic. And just to give you a little bit of history, I came across metacognition 3 to 4 years ago when I was working at a Title I school. We were at the very bottom, and the opportunity bill was on the table, so we were about to be taken over by the state if that had passed. And our literacy rate was significantly lower than the county and the state. So we were looking for something to help us increase comprehension scores within our students. So metacognition came to play through that. Also, if you look at the statistics, the Literacy Center tells us that 75% of incarcerated adults have a low literacy rate, as well as literacy being the greatest single indicator of academic success. So knowing that, we knew we had to increase literacy, which is also a basis for why a lot of people look for comprehension and reading strategies to help improve schools. Again, came across this strategy through the book Comprehension Connections, which was written by McGregor. And here he talks about the theorist John Flavel, who originally came up with the concept of metacognitive theory in the 1970s. In the book, they also define metacognition as thinking about our own thinking. We also read a separate article by Rhodes, published in 2019, and this was described metacognition as the knowledge and beliefs about what might influence a cognitive task. Our third resource on this page is Visible Learning for Literacy. That was written by Fisher, Fry, and Hattie in 2016. And here the authors describe metacognition as our ability to observe our own thinking. So that's kind of the basis for our topic and why we chose it.
And then we'll get into the impact that metacognition could have on school improvement. In the meta-analysis, Hattie gives the effect size of metacognition as 0.69, which is in the zone of desired effects. He encourages teachers to to give students questions to guide their thinking, and then to develop skills so that those students begin self-questioning to ensure understanding. Additionally, in Rhodes' article, Metacognition from 2019, he found that students who are higher performing are also more accurate about their own metacognition. So when they understand their own thinking, they perform at a higher level. Additionally, we read several research articles that support metacognitive strategies and their improvement of the quality of teaching of prospective teachers, as well as improving reading comprehension in students as well.
All right, now we're going to get into our qualitative research questions. So our overarching qualitative research question was, how does metacognition impact student beliefs about reading comprehension in elementary early intervention students? And those early intervention students are students that have been identified in schools as below grade level and needing some additional support. So we wanted to see what impact that has specifically on those students. Our sub-questions for our qualitative area was, how do students feel about reading comprehension? What are the characteristics of a student with confidence in reading? And thirdly, how do metacognitive strategies change a student's perspective specifically about reading? All right, why we thought these were good research questions was because our questions frame the exploration of the use of metacognition based on the metacognitive theory. So we wanted to make sure we were hitting that theory there with the metacognitive. Our research question topic is broad, but our sub-questions narrowed down the focus of the variables. Thirdly, the central question is flexible enough that it can change through the course of study. It's just a guideline for how to work through the topic, and it's very open-ended. So as the research progresses, we can change that. And then no assumptions here are made. We're keeping this very open to seeing what the results show.
We also have 4 quantitative research questions. Our descriptive research question is, what is the frequency and variation of scores on a reading comprehension assessment pre-test and post-test for early intervention students in this study? We thought that was a good research question because it uses a description of the pre and post-test scores to describe the phenomenon of metacognitive instruction. Our correlational research question is there a significant positive correlation between students who receive metacognitive instruction and post-test reading comprehension scores? We thought that was a good research question because it's designed to determine if there's a positive relationship between the metacognitive instruction and the post-test scores. Our causal question is, what impact does metacognitive instruction have on reading comprehension post-test scores? This question measures the effect of the recent event of metacognitive instruction, and it also tries to find the relationship between that metacognitive instruction and the post-test comprehension scores. And then finally, our comparative question, is there a significant difference in reading comprehension scores between early intervention students who do and do not receive metacognitive instruction? We thought this question was good because it asks for a comparison between two different groups, those who have received metacognitive instruction and those who have not. And is there a difference between those two scores?
All right, as we conclude, we'd like to show you the references, materials that we used for this particular project. This metacognition is something we are pretty passionate about. Of course, in schools and when you're in the line of fire, literacy is always a top priority. So we wanted to make sure for this project we use something very specific that really hit home to us. So we hope you enjoyed our use of metacognition, and that concludes our presentation.